lot of seasons are being made and broken today. Navy has beaten South Carolina. Remember how impressive the Gamecocks were here a week ago? Today they were completely dominated by a team that was playing without three-quarters of the offensive backfield it started the season with. This was one of the key plays of the game. Rich Klaus, a 53-yard touchdown, which gave Navy a 21-7 lead in the ball game. The Middies went on to completely dominate as they handed South Carolina its first defeat of the season. Later in this telecast, in the next segment, Beano Cook will have a startling revelation regarding South Carolina and their season now standing at 9-1 with Clemson left to play. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Brigham Young is having trouble with Utah, leading 10-7 in the third quarter. Bobby Bosco threw 3 interceptions in the first half. In miserable weather at Stillwater, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, trying to finish 10-1, is leading Iowa State only 13-10 in the fourth quarter. Florida has assured itself of at least a tie for its first Southeast Conference championship in 52 years in that league. Scouts from 5 bowls watched the Gators beat Kentucky 25-17. This was the key play. About a minute to go. Ramsdell of Kentucky looking into the end zone. Adrian White of Florida intercepted to cement the Gator victory, and the Gators have now won 8 games in a row. LSU can tie Florida for the SEC championship. Right now, the Tigers, off to another shaky start on offense, are tied 7-7 with Mississippi State. Boston College beat Syracuse 24-16. Syracuse was rough on Flutie, 10 of 21 for 136 yards, but the Eagles survived. Team that didn't survive, West Virginia, losing for the 3rd time in a row. Temple, only the 2nd time in its history in which it beat Pitt and West Virginia in the same season. A West Virginia offside gave Jim Cooker a second chance to kick the winning field goal with zeros on the clock. Army beat Montana 45-31 last night in Tokyo. 400 supporters of the two teams made the trip. Penn has become the first Ivy League team to go unbeaten in that league since 1970. It beat Cornell 24-0. Most played rivalry, 120th game between Lehigh and Lafayette. Lafayette won the game between the two engineering schools 15 miles apart in Pennsylvania. At Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland is leading Clemson 34-23 in the fourth quarter as the Terrapins try to finish up unbeaten in the ACC. Virginia may play Maryland for the ACC championship, and the Cavaliers are leading North Carolina now 24-14 in the fourth. They fell behind early, 14-0. Alabama leading Cincinnati 26-7 in the third quarter. Tennessee and Mississippi, it's 10-0 Volunteers in the second. Penn State was beaten by Notre Dame 44-7. Alan Pinkett, 34 carries, 189 yards, and 4 touchdowns, maybe the best game the Irish have played under Jerry Faust. Ohio State goes to the Rose Bowl. The Buckeyes beat Michigan 21-6. Byers, 28 carries, 93 yards, 3 TDs. Wisconsin and Michigan State, the winner of that game will go to some bowl. Badgers lead 17-10 in the fourth quarter. Old Oaken Bucket game, Purdue leads 24-17 in the fourth. Oldest continuous series west of the Mississippi, Kansas leads Missouri 14-0 second quarter. Warren Powers may be in trouble. Arkansas has beaten Texas A&M 28-0, and the Razorbacks may be headed to the Liberty Bowl. SMU and Texas Tech are tied up scoreless in the first quarter. When we come back, a closer look at Nebraska and Oklahoma through the years, a word about Texas TCU, and Beano Cook's revelation regarding the South Carolina Gamecocks, which are taking place in the sport of college football now. The other, a game as rich in heritage and tradition as any other in the sport. The big shootout on the prairie. You can go as far back as this game in 1959, when with this Pat Fisher punt return, Nebraska snapped Bud Wilkinson's 74-game Big 8 unbeaten streak. Later, it was Nebraska which developed the dynasty, and if you saw it, you'll never forget the 1971 game, the capper of the Bob Devaney era at Nebraska, when this Johnny Rodgers punt return gave the Cornhuskers a thin edge at a time when the two teams were far and away the two best in college football. This may have been, over the first 110 years of the sport, the showcase game. There was a memorable finish at freezing Lincoln in 1976 when the Sooner offense slumbered for most of the game before this Dean Blevins to Steve Rhodes to Elvis Peacock sandlot play set up Peacock's winning touchdown, and thus began a series of games in which trick plays figured in the outcome. Remember 1979 when an offensive guard for Nebraska, Randy Schleusner, picked the ball up off the carpet and went on to an unmolested touchdown on the Bummerooski play? It wasn't enough to avert a narrow Cornhusker defeat in that ball game. But the trick plays continued on both sides. In 1982, Turner Gill, a Nebraska quarterback, bounced the ball off the artificial turf into the hands of Irving Fryer, and Fryer completed a pass downfield as Nebraska was on its way to a 4-point victory. Today, Lincoln's 136th straight sellout crowd will wait to see what happens next. Last Saturday, Texas finally fell through the thin ice, so today's game in Fort Worth has Cotton Bowl implications, and not even the most enthusiastic TCU supporters could have imagined that until this particular year, as a week ago, Todd Dodge's 5 interceptions helped Houston to an easy victory over Texas, giving the inside track to TCU and a man named Jim Wacker, an exuberant evangelical man who promised TCU's beleaguered backers that he'd do just what he has done, smash mouth football, including scenes like this one in the Arkansas locker room earlier this year.
Couple things, baby. Number one, TCU's not a joke any longer. I have a question. Who's 3-1?
That was 5 weeks ago after TCU's miracle finish victory over Arkansas, and that kind of old-fashioned enthusiasm continues now down there in Fort Worth. Beano, a lot of Bowl Scouts out around the country today, and I know that in the case of South Carolina, you're going to suggest that maybe their business had already been done.
That's right. Bowls are not supposed to be, the invitations extended, Jim, until next week. But South Carolina, from what our sources tell us, will go to the Orange Bowl. Now, here we have 2 games left. Navy and South Carolina lost, and Clemson. And South Carolina is going to the Orange Bowl. And personally, I think that something has to be done about picking these teams in advance. Sure, the Orange Bowl figured that South Carolina would beat Navy and then take the chances against Clemson. But I've always said, when you play on the road, anything can happen. And that's what happened today at Navy. I think it's a disgrace that these teams are being picked 2 games in advance. But we now have an Orange Bowl, so I think that won't have the glamour that it should.
And certainly, if they lose to Clemson next week, South Carolina will be anything but the highest-ranked team available to the Orange Bowl.
That's right, and the bowls won't have any glamour at all, and that's too bad. That's the showcase.
Our sources tell us the deal was made 5 days ago. We're going to be taking you out to Fort Worth for those of you in Texas and Arkansas, the rest of you to Lincoln, right after this.
But he's been figuring early in this game. Green on the 3rd and 15 with time to throw, and it's going to be picked off, intercepted by the man we just talked about, Craig Rutledge. That is going to be his 5th interception of the year.
Tim Green is a very high-strung and emotional quarterback. We said that last week against Washington, and last week they wanted to settle him down early in the game. This week, Tim Green is coming out throwing. Now, what a turnover will do like this, and there's Craig Rutledge making a fine play, but what a turnover will do to a quarterback like Tim Green, who's very emotional, it can really drag him down psychologically.
That's only the 9th interception that they've thrown this year. They had 8 interceptions in 9 games coming in here. The option, the pitch back to Andrews to the 40. To the 36-yard line. Gain of 8. Biggers and Hopper defensively. USC with hope. The Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Week last week with 12 tackles. Keith Biggers, he runs like a bat. He has that kind of speed. Tommy Haynes, their best defender in the secondary. Darrell Hopper, the other corner. And Jerome Tyler gets the job done at safety, and there's greatness in this guy's eyes, Tim McDonald. 2nd and 2. Riley, the fullback, first down for the Bruins. To the 25, a gain of 9. Hope and Tyler combining on the tackle.
A year ago, Brian Wiley ran this same play for a 17-yard touchdown pass. When you're playing against an I-formation football team, you always think a tailback's going to get the ball on 2nd and 2. Good call by UCLA. They changed it up. It's their change of pace. They give the ball to the fullback. Everybody overruns it. He picks up 9 yards.
First down, handoff up the middle again. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down, 8. Colorado and Luck combining on the stop. You have to understand that this USC defense is excellent against the rush. They allow 91 yards a game, and that's all. In fact, only 5 rushing touchdowns the entire season. 2nd and 8 from the 25. Sherrard, Wilson, and Snell. 3 men in at the tight end and the 2 wideouts. Bono hits Sherrard, and Sherrard out of bounds at the 6 quarterback, 6'2", 205, an aggressive runner. Jeff Smith will open at I-back. Scott Porter opens at fullback, 200-pounder. James Watson will be the wingback, 5'9", 200, and Scott Kimball, wide receiver, 6-footer, 195.
And from the 20, the first snap of the ball game, as Kimball comes wide and out of the picture at the bottom. He's flanked very wide to the bottom of the screen. Right back to Smith. And he's got it. And he cuts it over the left side. But the Oklahoma defensive people, led by Brian Bosworth, make the 9 for the Cornhuskers from their own 21. And Turner gives the ball again to Smith. Smith cannot get outside. Again, the defensive flow is led by throw. A throwback complete to Andrews. Andrews, a flag on the play as he's tackled at the 12-yard line. Tony Colorado was over there, the nose guard. The man that his coach calls slippery, and he slipped over that time to make a tackle. Looks like we may have a clip.
With his team being emotionally flat, the first thing they do in their offensive series is come out and throw an interception, and UCLA is knocking on the door right now.
However, they're going to be backed up now. Winners will be Danny Bradley at quarterback. Dramatic player indeed. Lydell Carr, the freshman at fullback, 195 pounds. Spencer Tillman is still laboring with a pulled hamstring. Will open at halfback. Steve Sewell has had the year of his career this year at the other halfback. Derek Shepard is a wide receiver. And here we go with the Oklahoma wishbone. First down, the Sooners start from their own 45. Bradley gives it inside to Lydell Carr, and he's got 4 yards. Here's your first down situation. If you average 4 or 5 yards on first down, you're going to over USC. Strike first. We have a 3-0 lead. 7:30 to go, first quarter. Starters, freshman starters, on defense alone for the Sooners. They have 22 freshmen in their top 60. And Bradley's back on 3rd down and 7. And throws the football low and incomplete, intended for Steve Sewell, who squawks that he was interfered with. Brett Clark was the defender.
We saw Nebraska blitz on 3rd and long, something that they do very effectively and have done all year. I think they want to really put pressure on Bradley, who has the workload today. The central figure, Danny Bradley for Oklahoma, running, passing,
and right over the top of him, and the flags came flying. A 41-yard punt.
Keith, you called it perfectly. Smith was signaling and going to step to the side. I don't think he was going to handle the punt. Well, I guess he was. It looked to me like he was going to step over and let the ball hit the ground.
Well, I think he was, Frank, until he realized that Oklahoma people were down there and probably could kill it inside the 10. Then he decided to go ahead with his fair catch. And he lucked out.
Well, that was a mistake in the kicking game. Chance against an emotionally charged UCLA team today. Let's give that offensive line an opportunity to block somebody and give Fred Crutcher the ball. That's what I expect to see from USC here.
The old pitch.
The old pitch.
Ran so many times, right?
Pitched it very well. We got very famous pitching the ball to Anthony Davis.
And you didn't have any interceptions on it. From the 20. Cormier in motion. And here comes Crutcher. To the 25. And Crutcher has the first down across the 30. An 11-yard pickup. Dennis Price over there. And that's the USC you expect to see. Let's meet the rest of that. It's going to be second down now. 9 yards to go. Did you see the expression on Terry when he came out of that tunnel? He's played in these games before. I think he was ready to suit up again.
He was wound up.
Second down now. 9 now for USC. Cormier goes in motion again. UCLA with a 3-0 lead. Here's Crutcher. Trap. Gets away. First down on Nebraska's 26-yard line of the first big break of the ball game for either team. Inside it goes to Carr, and Carr from the 26, close to the 20. Got at least 5, close to 6 yards on the carry.
Here we look at the Oklahoma sideline. Barry Switzer, the winningest college football coach in America over 5 years. Here are the comparisons offensively. Oklahoma, Nebraska. You can see that Nebraska in 433, scoring 35 points. Here's the comparisons defensively, both outstanding. Oklahoma #1 against the rush. Nebraska #1 in total defense and scoring defense.
Oklahoma to the attack on second down and 4.5. And up the middle goes the play with Carr carrying, and he may have a yard. That was Ledbetter, Jerome Ledbetter, who had come in, number 20, replacing
Carr, their fullback, in the wishbone, had rushed magnificently through the middle, giving them the offense they needed, and they were going to do it again today.
Ball is setting at the Nebraska 18-yard line with Carr back in the lineup now. And Bradley sets him up on 3rd down and 3. They go back in the middle with Carr, and he breaks it and goes for a 1st down as he's close to the 10. Ken Shedd made the tackle for the Cornhuskers. They mark him.
He's very famous for that. Reasonably good protection here, but the ball should not have been thrown. Last week he threw one into the coverage that was picked off. He had an interception earlier in the football game. Excellent coverage by number 2, Herb Welsh, who had position on the receiver. The ball should have been thrown. He's blocking you all the time.
Well, the roughing the passer gives USC a 1st down at the 42 of UCLA. Tim Green this week said, we're going to whip them. And Terry Donahue is it on the dressing room bulletin board. Crutcher stopped at the 40. Chris Flock has been very active. There's what we were just mentioning. Crutcher going over 1,000, the first time since 81.
I had a quiz for you. Do you know what school has the most 1,000-yard rushers?
It isn't USC?
It isn't USC, believe it or not. Time's up. North Carolina.
Is that right?
That's right.
Charlie Choo-Choo Justice and all those guys, huh? Delvin Bryant from the 40. 2nd down, 9 over the middle. Complete. That's Mark Boyer, the tight end. 1st down catch.
They are just short, but the man who made that play was the big guy named Pope from Seminole, Oklahoma, number 63.
This Oklahoma offensive line, as you can see, the Cornhusker defense has only allowed 4 touchdowns this season from the rushing.
Well, this is a football game, and these are the two kind of teams, Frank, with their defensive abilities. You better cash in your opportunities.
You don't get very many. Oklahoma recovered the fumble and is taking it down to just short of a 1st down, but when you get them close, take it in. Otherwise, it leaves scars, and can cost you the game.
They need about a foot for their 1st down. 3rd down. Just outside the Cornhusker 1.
Bradley is very good on the quarterback's feet. Quick.
Dives over the top. He didn't get the goal line, but he 1st and goal Sooners. Bradley again. Dives. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
There's Barry Switzer's reaction. Oh boy, he really wants this ball game. Nebraska has won 3 times in a row. Nobody has defeated Oklahoma 4 times in a row since 1939. Through 42, I think we'll have that later. But Switzer needs this win. He wants that Orange Bowl chance again.
Tim Lasher for the extra point. Good. Oklahoma Sooners got a Nebraska fumble and take it 20. Wants to load it up and let it go, and he does. And Schnitzler can't pull it down. He was available, but the pass was a yard too long. He had beaten Jim Rockford.
Keith, the receiver had not only beaten Rockford, the safety man, Brown, was up taking the fake of the running play. You can see there's no center fielder. Brown is the one on your left trailing the receiver by 5 yards. Had the ball been on the target. Now Casillas is the best nose guard, number 92. The best offensive center in America may be Kranowicz, number 57. Look at the battle going on there. That will be the case all game.
3rd down and 9. They got him. Turner tries to unload it and get it over to number 26, Rathman, the safety valve, but Casillas was climbing his back.
Here's number 92, Casillas. He's the one that forced the
Emotional down there on defense.
2nd down, virtually 10. Bono from the end zone. Broken up beautifully. That was McDonald. There's a penalty flag, however. It looked like McDonald pulled it off, but the official didn't agree.
Tim McDonald knocked the ball down with his left hand, but I believe with his right hand he did interfere.